Hey everyone, welcome to the channel UBot. As the name suggests, we will cover a lot of the real-time examples of RPA technologies in some of the market-leading tools like Automation Anywhere, UiPath, Blue Prism, Pega Automation, and there are really much more. So to start with, we'll start with Automation Anywhere A2019. So if you know this product a while, then you will probably know that there is a version 11 was there, and they now introduced a web-based, more cloud-native RPA platform. So what does it really mean from a technical point of view? So it has a lot of huge differences, but I want to call out few things which are really making a lot of sense with regard to the technical aspect. So number one is that this is a web-based workbench as opposed to the thick client. Yes. So version 11 has the thick client version of framing the workflow or automating the processes. We'll have to have a desktop client and then we'll start writing the workflow. But here we'll be start writing using the web-based workbench. The second important thing they've introduced is the additional commands or additional actions. So in current version, we can invoke Python and JavaScript based. Earlier they have something called VB script, but in the current version we can do with the Python as well as JavaScript. And third thing is additional set of variables. So in existence of the lot of commands, they've introduced more commands, more additional variables in the current version. We will see that in the demo. And fourth point is they provide native support to a lot of Microsoft product or packages. We'll also walk you through what are the different packages they have currently, and they may have future plans to introduce more. And fifth one is the way they design the workflows. They've introduced something called flow, list, and dual. So basically, what does it really mean? So in order to frame the workbench, in order to frame the processes, they have different visual representation. We will quickly see that in the demo as well. And there are really much more. So where do we start with? Let me launch this URL and even you can Google it. So this compares their classic version of the product comparison, whatever they have. Currently they have version Enterprise version 11 and Enterprise version 8 2019, and there's a community version 8 version 8 2019. This looks both are similar, and they also have this one. This was their earlier version, and they also give a quick comparison of what is used for when, I mean whom. So this typically means for the larger enterprise where they have their client server architecture, where they have a client and then they own every data. Basically, they install the SQL server on-prem, and any data that they are representing will be stored there. So they have more secured environment. It doesn't. I'm not saying that now using enterprise edition is not secure, but the it takes away the risk of owning the infrastructure. So you can almost put everything on the cloud and access it anywhere. And community edition comes with the currently they have introduced the community edition as well as A 2019, meaning that we can start writing the same workflow whichever is providing enterprise A 2019. So to start with, you can just download it from here. Just clicking the link, clicking the button get command edition, community edition, and it will prompt you to enter the few basic information. So you can just fill in the form. It's quite easy and understandable. And then if you click I accept that, and then if you want to always receive any of the communication from AI, you can also click the checkbox and get free community edition. So this will trigger you an email to the email that you provided here, something similar to this. And once you get this email, you will be provided usually with the usual credential and password, your control room URL with the credential. In case not, you will get something like this, launch community edition. The moment you click here, it'll take you to the community edition of the website. That's a control center. You may consider this as a control admin room where we can manage, create workflow, and add users, everything almost possible. So I'll take you through quickly on the different menu options they have and where do we really primarily start writing the workflows or start automating the processes. So home page by default shows you this. There were different set of information, for example, robotic process automation, create a bot, and then there's a cognitive bot, IQ bot, which primarily meant for a lot of the unstructured data, something like PDF reading or intelligence applying, right? And analytics is they have, and some of them other things they also have it. And if you go to dashboard, it just shows you what have you done so far with it in terms of the metrics. It's pretty much quite intuitive. you'll be able to understand this. When we come to activity, there are two sub menus. One is in progress, another is historical. So this in progress, whenever you run a bot, then you will come here and then see whether what is the condition of the bot and what is the percentage has been completed. So it's more of very dashboard kind of view that you can get. Let's assume that in the real time you may run different set of or n number of bots. So you can come here and then control which bot is doing what. And if you go to historical, this will tell us what is the bot you have run so far and what is the condition state. In case of error, that you can also hover it and understand what is the error that you got it. Just clicking the view activity. And if you come to the bots, this is the primary area where we'll start creating the bots. And if you come to my bots, this is where they by default given a this folder structure. And because it is a cloud, they have created a bots as the main folder, and underneath you can create a number of folders. And this is where we'll be start creating the bot. For example, if you hover on the first this icon, that gives us the create a bot, and you can also create a subfolder, and there are more options as an entity. Next thing is a credential. So if you want to store your application credential, this is where you come here and then store it. So this is more secure and then it is not visible to others. And also the AA has its own um, role, which is client, the credential locker, credential admin. So who manages all the credential across enterprise. And if we come to packages, this is where I spoke about different packages they have. And they have different set of packages like you can read, analyze application, AWS component, NLP, and boolean, bot migration, browser. So almost every set of packages, the way you can read a package is basically a set of commands that you can provide it. Let's take an example of the first one application. For example, if I click on this one, it lists me what are the commands available under this package. So there is a command called or action called open program or file. So this will be primarily used for whenever you invoke any desktop application or exe based application, then we will go with the open program or file. We'll see that in the real-time examples. So this is where you will see all of the packages available and its equivalent relevant commands. For example, if you go to browser, so browser will tell us what are the different sub commands or actions available under the browser package, which is pretty much we'll be using in the real time as well. If you click on the browser, and here it says download file and find broken links, launch website. Primarily this is the command that we'll be using to launch a website. And devices, so this is where we'll keep all the bots really literally, or say this the laptops or the computers which will run the processes. So my devices will list what are the current devices available, and this is my laptop PC, and then it lists my current PC. And if you add more devices, in case you wanted to scale your robots in multiple different machines, all that the admin will be adding it here. You will be able to see all the registered devices. So likewise, device pool will confirm us what are the different pools that we created. Let's take an example of maybe we can say it's a non-production devices and production devices. So when we develop a bot, we may be running it in initially the non-production development environment, and then we'll deploy it in the production environment. So we can categorize in this two way, or whichever way you want to categorize, you can create the pool and then register certain devices under that. So when we run it, it will ask you whether you want to choose this pool or not. So this is a place we'll come here and then create the pools. And administration, and if you're an admin, there are more options than what is shown here. Usually it is currently showing users, but there is more options. So once you get registered, it's a good idea to come here and then just check whether what is currently here. If you click on the gear button here, you will see different options, whether you can edit it or you can just create view user, what are the users available here. So we come here, whatever that I've given, you can see that pretty much here. And then if you want to edit, you can also edit it. So the first thing, once you get registered, this is the overview of the control room, and this also been used as the workbench for creating or automating the processes. Let's see that how we can create a simple bot. And before we do that, there are certain prerequisites we should be doing it in order to register the device. So when you go in the first time and then click my devices, and when you click on the create device, add local device, and then this will prompt you that the bot render is already installed. Because I've installed it, that you are seeing it here. Otherwise, it will prompt you to download the installer. So once you click on the link, it takes you to the download page by default. Otherwise, you would set a different path. Then if you go to downloads, then you will see this file here. This is the agent. So what is it agent meant for? Why the agent is? So this is the agent which will primarily talk to the control room from the devices. So whichever device that you wanted to configure, you will have to install this agent on the particular device so that the control room knows that that agent is communicating to me and passing the commands to me so that I'll execute it. So where do you confirm that? Once you double click on install this agent, it's pretty much quite intuitive. You can just click next and then install the agent. Once it is installed, a couple of things you will be seeing it. One, if you go to documents by default registry, the document folder, you will see this file called automation anywhere files. This is where the current config files and log points are getting added. And if you use on-prem version, you will have more files than what you are seeing here, because on-prem will have the SQL Server and client-based configuration files, etc. So if you come to documents that you're seeing it here, first thing. Second confirmation, if you go and just launches type services, this services, you will see a service called Automation Anywhere Bot Agent. So make sure that this bot agent is running, otherwise you will not be able to communicate between your control center and the devices. So a lot of time if the device is not disconnecting or device you're not able to connect it, so this is a place you come here and right click it, refresh it either, or you can just, I would suggest you go with the restart. When you moment the restart, this will just restart the service so that your agent can communicate with the control room. So now pretty much we will be get registered. Once you get registered, you will see this link here, and sometime you may get this is kind of, now it is safe, just hover on it, it says connected, but earlier it was not, because due to n number of reasons. It could be your problem with your internet. Make sure that your internet is proper and connected, not hotspot and anything, maybe proper Wi-Fi internet, whichever location you are in. And another thing is the firewall and proxy settings. Ensure that the firewall or proxy doesn't block this particular agent, so that otherwise you will not be able to connect it. Now you see that the agent is connected. Now we are setting up the bot is ready. The bot runner, you can call it in the real time, it's a bot runner is ready. Now we need to go, let's go and create a simple bot. Let's say hello bot, and then let's get familiar with the workbench. So the primary place, there are a number of ways you can start writing the bot. If you go here, my bots, and they've created a folder called bots already. So let me create a folder under this, a folder called demo, and then this sits under the bot, and then say this is the demo folder, and then say click folder, and you will see a folder called demo. Within the demo you can also create a bot. So the moment you click a create a bot, let's name the bot as hello bot, and this will sit under the demo, and click edit now. So it's pretty simple and quite intuitive. This is where we talked about it. So if you see that you wanted to completely focus on the editor, just you can go here and then click this arrow mark so that you will get a complete view of the editor. It's more like you can call it as workbench, where you will start creating the workflows and automating this. So in order for us to start with, let's create a simple message box, right? So whatever you're seeing here is basically on the left side, actions is all about commands. It's more about just drag and drop the commands, whichever command you want to interact with. And as we talked about the different packages, every package has its own set of commands or actions. And whichever you need, you need to come here and go that. In the earlier version of the version automation 11, version 11, they did not have the search box here. You'll have to go pick it up manually, but they've introduced this new feature. Some other feature that we talked about earlier, like say for example, if you type Python, they have introduced, you can open a Python script, execute a function. Likewise, you put JavaScript, and they also have a similar commands like run JavaScript, open, and then close it. These are the something this is the new thing they have get added into the current version of it. So for our example purpose, let's say that we wanted to create a simple message. If you type message, you can either double click so that whichever point your cursor is, it will get added. Otherwise, you can just drag and drop here. And this here, once you pulled in, you will see the left side message buckets, all properties you would call it. Here we need to fill in the relevant information. Because it's just more like a console.log or system.print.outln in Java or print in Python, it's something similar to which will provide a standard output to the console. So here let's say that hello bot. So this is a message that I wanted to print out. You can also see here and then click this particular icon that if you have a variable stored, you can also get this variable done. And if you moment you save it, and this currently simple workflow is now ready. So whatever we talked about the flow, list and dual is particularly this. So flow will give us the visual representation of the really a flow structure. And if you click on the link list, it will just list one by one, each activity by activity. So this is their earlier version of the product, the community edition, the version 11. They have a similar workflow like this. We will be able to create the in the list view, and they've introduced this flow in the recent version. And Dual will tell us both. This is our visual representative, the flow, as well as this side on the left, on the right side, we'll also get to see the list view of it. Now let's go back list view or any view that you want to run it, and then save it. Once we get saved, then this simple bot is now ready. So how do we run it? Because in the same control room, we can just click on the run button, which will ask us, if you do not configure your bot, this will prompt you to install the installer again. And the first time whenever you create a workflow, it will download the dependencies. What does the dependencies mean here? Dependencies are packages that you are used in. Because we have used a package called message box, under that we have used a command message box. That's why it will pull and then communicate from agent to the control room. So because we have put a simple message box, it says that hello AA bot and then close this button. Now our process get executed, then this is successful completion message. And what are the different possible exception that you may get it, right? You may get that the credential are not received. For example, with the moment you get registered in their portal, you may not get that link credential the first time. So in order to overcome that, click on the link and then just start typing your username, whichever you provided, and then click the forget password link. So what I really mean is, when you come to launch here, this will come here, this page. And if you do not get your password, just type in your username and then click the forget password, which will ask you to reset your password. Once you reset, then you'll be able to log into this page. Let me log in back. And once you're logged in, registered, and once you reset your password, then you'll be able to land in this current page. So you come here and then you can see all the control rooms. And under the bots, you can see whatever bot you created, and you will be able to see that. So this is a demo that we created, and here is the hello bot. And if you want to run it, again, you can click on the bot and then go back and run it. That's the number one possible exception that you get it. The second exception would be that it may sometime get it, the device is not connected. As I told you, this could be of n number of reasons. Either the internet problem or proxy problem or firewall or any of the antivirus that you have in your machine. So you may want to debug it and understand whether which is causing the issue. But if you keep getting that one, you can go back here and then devices. You can simply just disconnect it. You can just simply delete this. You can say that yes, delete it. Don't worry, it will not delete the actual machine. It will just delete the current one. And then the moment you go back to the bots, because you already agent installed, the process is running. It is not really closing the physical devices. It always get registered your devices. If you go back again, click demo and click allow bot. And then this time if you run it, it will say that let's make a connection. Because you already installed the agent, it will understand that there is an agent sitting which will register your device. And this time it will deploy your computer and you will get start running. So if you go now, while it is running, you will not be able to go. And once it is process executing, now you see that it is getting executed and you can stop it. And if you go back here, and then now if you see the devices, this device is already registered now. So you may get it sometime, but don't worry. It's quite flaky. Now you see that it is connected. So this is a workaround. You can delete the device and run it. That's number one. Number two, you can reinstall the agent as well and then try to install it again. So that will also work in some cases. And I hope you find it useful, and thanks for watching.